When you think of systems that stand the test of time, well, this one didn't. But when you think of systems that had so much untapped potential, systems that created a bunch of classic games and new experiences for a bunch of users, systems that allowed us to get on the internet for the first time and play with our friends, one system comes to mind, and that system is, hey y'all, didn't know you there. Just here with my Sega Dreamcast, and yes, this is a video, if you saw the title, about the top 10 games that I love from the Sega Dreamcast. And again, like I was saying in the intro, man, the Sega Dreamcast, many believe may have been one of the GOATs, maybe one of the most underrated systems. I've said plenty of times before that while I do love the Dreamcast, I think that it just fell short and it came out at the wrong time. Right place, wrong time. And if it wasn't for the PS2, maybe the Sega Dreamcast would still be here today. Also, if it wasn't for Sega's financial troubles, maybe Sega would still be in the console game right now. But the Dreamcast did provide us for a bunch of dope games. So, here are my top 10 favorite games from the Sega Dreamcast era. Please like and subscribe and let me know in the comment section, what are your favorite Sega Dreamcast games? And is there a game you want me to talk a little bit more about? Let me know. Let's get right into it. Coming out at number 10, and don't laugh at me, NFL 2K. Specifically NFL 2K2. In a time where EA was dominating with Madden never came to the Dreamcast. But Visual Concepts and made a dope football game that we honestly still need now today to give Madden some competition. But I love NFL 2K2 because around that time you could actually create teams and create players and make your own team, own mascot. I used to literally upload my school roster and make my team. It used to be fun playing the game, and it was also online. The passing mechanics were dope. At the time, that was one of the best and most fluid football games out, and a lot of people missed that. And I miss NFL 2K to this day because Madden definitely needs some competition. Coming in at number 9, and the reason that this one is so low on my list is because I actually prefer the GameCube version. Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure, of course, the one that started the first 3D foray for Sonic, not including Sonic 3D Blast. But Sonic Adventure 2 was so dope to me with things like 2 stories, the hero side, the dark side, seeing Shadow and his story. And while it was corny, it was one of the best stories I ever seen at the time. And while it doesn't age well, it doesn't stop me from loving it. The Child Baby, Chaos Baby, whatever you call it, I love those. It was a dope mini game aspect of the game, and I really need them to bring that back and make it its own separate game. Sonic Adventure 2, soundtrack amazing, gameplay, especially Sonic and Shadow's gameplay was amazing. Now, we're not gonna talk about Knuckles and Rose's treasure hunting. I could do without, but Sonic Adventure 2 was fire. But the GameCube version is my favorite Sonic Adventure 2 battle. Coming in at number 8, Metropolis Street Racing. Bruh, this game had one of the best soundtracks ever and one of the first games to really get me into racing, bruh. And the best thing about it is it was at the time the most authentic street racing game around. Cause they digitally recreated parts of London, San Francisco, Tokyo with a bunch of like photographs. So it looked like you was really driving in those cities. The game looked amazing. It was one of the first games I actually played online to race other people. The cars, the customization, it was a dope game. Driving well mattered in this game. If you driving too fast, you lose kudos for crashes, and like if you drift and do cool things, you get a bunch of points for being a GOAT, pretty much. Coming in at number 7, and this one is gonna also suffer like Sonic Adventure 2 did on my list because I love the GameCube version better. Skies of Arcadia. If it wasn't for the horrible load times on the Dreamcast, it would be so much higher on this list. But Skies of Arcadia needs to have a mention because it was one of the first games that reminded me of One Piece, one of the first real pirate games on the system, and it was a dope JRPG. The fighting system was amazing, the characters and the story was amazing, and you literally got to recruit your own crew. You had your own sky pirate ship. You was a cool ass main character with a cool supporting cast. And in Skies Arcadia and Legends in the GameCube version, you had more stuff, more islands, more treasure to look for. You had bounces you can search. I really feel like this was one of the best pirate games to date, and one of the first games to really just feel like I was playing something like One Piece. So if you never played Skies of Arcadia, I definitely suggest it. If you can get the GameCube version, definitely play that one. Coming in at number 6, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike is probably my favorite Street Fighter game so far, until at least Street Fighter 6 comes out. But everyone remembers the most hype moment of Evo.
Daigo actually angry. Just its turtle style. Overcome Rao. Now on the verge of putting Daigo down 1-0.
Bringing in new things like EX moves, new mechanics, and they really took a chance because they put in a lot of characters that weren't known. And I like that because I found some of my new favorites like Ibuki and Shun and other folks, as well as some old favorites like Ken, Akuma. The soundtrack amazing, especially Jazzy NYC. Oh my God, one of my favorite fighting game soundtracks of all time. There's only one other Street Fighter type game to me whose soundtrack and fighting system compares, and that's my favorite Street Fighter. That's why it's number 6. Coming in at number 5, I gotta show some love to Jet Set Radio. Jet Set Radio was a game like no other at the time. Another game with dope music. The Dreamcast really had the vibes on this system, no matter what game you was playing. But Jet Set Radio, just the style, skate punks battling out for graffiti turf war. This ain't Splatoon, but look, maybe it got a little inspiration from this game. But running from the police, the police had the blicky for you too and would shoot you real quick. But Jet Set Radio, just the mechanics, skating, grinding, so much style, so much flavor. As the kids say today, so much drip in this game. And Jet Set Radio really changed the way I look at games, especially games outside of fighting and action. The skating was chef's kiss. Coming in at number 4, Smash Brothers was the rage at this time, and having that 4-player chaos of a game with a bunch of fighters was amazing. So Dreamcast came out with Power Stone. Power Stone 2 is my favorite because it upped the ante. And think about a game where 4 people just get in the fight, and it's like a side-scrolling game, an adventure game at the same time. You throwing hands while also trying to get through the level with a bunch of different power-ups. If you collect the 3 gems, you power up. But Wang Tang will turn it literally into a Super Saiyan. Power Stone 2 is a gem, a classic, and I really miss it. I wish it could come back. Capcom really had a gem with that one, and Power Stone 2 was one of my favorite memories playing with my uncle. If you never got to play Power Stone 2, you definitely missing out, and you should definitely check it out. Coming in at number 3, this game really changed the way games and RPGs looked at themselves. It was different. It wasn't the typical RPG. Shenmue, bro. Are there sailors here? Are there any sailors around? Any sailors watching this YouTube right now? If you don't catch that reference, you ain't played Shenmue. Bruh, this was one of the first games I played where people had routines outside of Harvest Moon. But this is one of the first 3D games I played where people literally went about their day, had daily routines, and like, you really were living in the game, but also trying to solve a story with a bunch of cool kung fu moves, engaging story, a mystery. Like, it's just a bunch of interactions, and it really brought adventure and choice and living a life that wasn't yours. It put the role in role-playing game. So if you never got a chance to play Shenmue, look, Shenmue was one of my favorites, and I low-key want to play it again. Definitely check it out. Coming in at the coveted number 2 spot is perhaps the game that everybody loves the most, the fighting game everybody is still asking for to this day. One of the most epic crossovers of all time. Yes, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And while it's not my favorite fighting game, it is number 2 or number 3. But Marvel vs. Capcom was one of the first crossovers to grace us, seeing your favorite X-Men, seeing your favorite Capcom characters, seeing your favorite Marvel characters just duke it out. That's a dream team, and man, I really wish we could see something like that again today. I need Marvel vs. Capcom 2 to come back soon. Please, Capcom. please, Disney, somebody work something out with the music, with the levels, the design, the character designs, the fighting. It was action-packed, it was fast-paced, and it was 3v3, so your teams, so many combinations of fighters, so much fun, can go on for days. Coming in with my honorable mentions, let me just mention a few games. Gotta show some love to Sega Bass Fishing. My uncle, that was the first game I ever played on Dreamcast, and he showed me. I used to go fishing with my uncle and my grandparents all the time. So that game has a special spot in my heart. Shout out to my grandpa, rest in peace. But that game always reminded me of him. Space Channel 5, weird as hell, but Space Channel 5 was one of those first rhythm-based games and very overlooked, but it was fun, it was quirky, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Also, another one of those rhythm games that I gotta show some love to, Samba de Amigo, was probably the first game of its kind. We had Guitar Hero, but you don't know about those maracas you had to shake back in the day. And so much dope music, so much good gameplay. Gotta show some love. And of course, I gotta show love to Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi was also another dope game. Did something different, a bunch of chaos, another dope soundtrack, just some fun times. You can still play a bunch of these games today. Shout out to Steam and other places you can get some of these Dreamcast games. But gotta hit you with my number one, and it may come to a surprise to some and maybe to none, but this list has been heavily filled with fighting games. And the fighting game that I really enjoyed the most on my Dreamcast was Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur at the time was so different to me because it was 3D arena with weapons and with a dope story. What really got me is a map story mode where you actually went around and fought at certain characters and you got to see a piece of their story. And the lore was so deep, it had me enthralled. And another part was the museum mode and the art mode. You got to unlock different type of arts, and that's what got me into appreciating the art and the direction in gaming. So I gotta show love to Soul Calibur for that reason, because it made me look at other things besides the gameplay. Because the gameplay was also dope, the characters was dope, the music, the ring announcer, and the countless sequels that came after it. Soul Calibur was one of my favorite games because it showed me a lot and so much. It was so much content for just a fighting game. So many different modes, so many ways to fight, different weapons, choose your style. It was different. And I appreciate it for what it did. Those are my top 10 games for the Dreamcast. And like I said, while it may be a very underrated system, unfortunately it went through some hard times. And who knows, like it's one of the biggest what ifs in gaming. If the Dreamcast survived today, where would gaming be today? How do you think the gaming world would be? Comment below and let me know what you think. And did you like the Dreamcast? Did you wish Dreamcast would come back, a Dreamcast Mini? Who was your favorite Dreamcast game? That's all for me. It's Blue Satire. Let me know which systems you want me to cover next time for a top 10. But that's all. Y'all enjoy it. Appreciate y'all for watching the video. Bye.